Always you're the host.
It's always great to do that, and it's always great to hear it. And welcome to all who are on Facebook. We should have clicked on by now as well too. You should be able to hear us. Let us know if you don't. I hope that is not the case. But yeah, as always, I'm joined by my co-host, Mr. Hassan Godwin. How you doing, Mr. Hassan?
I'm
Lord
okay.
of the Radio.
I'm warm, but I'm okay.
You're warm, but you're okay.
It's a little warm in
Well,
here.
that works out pretty good. We have sponsors. If you notice the very, very cool Brooklyn Seltzer Boys logo at the bottom, and they are.
Yeah, what's that all about?
Well, they're our new sponsor, so it's pretty exciting. Sponsored by Brooklyn Seltzer Boys, and their whole deal is, which I'll get you the bottles as well too in a second.
Okay.
Delivers old-fashioned seltzer filled by the last remaining seltzer shop in New York City, Gomberg Seltzer Works Incorporated. We deliver seltzer in old-fashioned siphon bottles directly to your home. So if you are looking for something that is unique and cool for your restaurant, check it out. Woo! This is like the old-fashioned seltzer. This is good stuff.
Oh man, that's like gag seltzer.
It is,
That's
but
like
it's awesome.
That's
yeah.
like movie gag seltzer.
Yeah, but it's awesome. Brooklyn Seltzer Boys offers delivery for your business or private residence. If you would like to order seltzer for delivery, please call Brooklyn Seltzer Boys 718-649-0800. That's 718-649-0800. Or go to the website, brooklynseltzerboys.com.
Do as we tell you. Do as we tell you.
And do as we tell you. Do as we say, not as we do. Their logo will be there all
thirsty,
month long, which is pretty awesome.
I'm gonna have some seltzer when we're on break.
We have a tremendous show right now. We are dealing with a whole. I mean, it's really kind of cool because we're in the middle of comic book movie season, so we got a little bit of a lull, and so we're actually able to kind of do a little prediction, and we're actually able to do a little see what's going to come. But I wanted to do it in a kind of a cool way, which we're going to do it in 5 words or less. All right, so we're going to describe what's going to happen in 5 words or less. We're going to do that in a moment.
Okay.
We also have Legion M coming. They're going to be our guest tonight. They are a really, really super unique entertainment company. So they're working with Kevin Smith and Anne Hathaway and Stan Lee. They're not a comic book company. I actually made that mistake of doing that, but I had to rectify. So we have Jeff Addison coming on. They are completely funded. Not even just funded. They are completely owned by the fans. They're completely fan-owned.
How does that even work? Are we gonna ask him that?
We are going to ask him that. Yeah, we're going to find all that stuff out.
Okay.
But first, I thought we'd start with some really cool news. James Wan has broken his silence on Aquaman, and he says it's extraordinary. I think everything I've done is extraordinary, by the way.
He's the director.
Yes,
Aquaman.
he is. He's the director of Aquaman.
And he thinks his movie is extraordinary.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Well, that is honestly better than don't go see my movie.
Yeah. He didn't pull a Fantastic Four.
Yeah, this is terrible. It's the studio's fault. He didn't pull a Joss Whedon for Age of Ultron.
Right.
Like, no, these people they screwed me, and I don't know.
Did he really say that? I don't even remember him saying
Joss
that.
Whedon complained mightily about studio tampering.
Okay.
And it is widely suspected it's after he saw the screening and he saw that the movie didn't fall together quite the way he wanted, so he started the narrative of, well, the studio just keeps messing with everything, and everything is supposed to be a trailer for the next movie.
Sure.
And he started that kind of Marvel hysteria. Now, the thing is, Marvel's brand was so enormous at the time that it just kind of shook that off, even though Joss Whedon was enormous, and for all intents and purposes, he's the one who got them. He's the one who helped build the House of Marvel, just like Favreau.
Yep.
With the first Avengers,
Uh-huh.
but it was able to shake off his recriminations because it was huge. So even though I don't think Age of Ultron is a great movie, it did really well.
Yeah.
Everyone loved it.
Yeah.
So it kind of just walked over his, and if you notice, his relationship with them sort of ended on a dime.
Yeah.
He a couple of years later, he ended up with DC.
It definitely faded at that point.
Yeah.
I think there's, without a doubt, there's some fading and some.
And he kind of just came out and said, "Oh, there's a lot of tampering, and it's because of that there was that Ragnarok flashback."
Sure.
That he didn't really want to put in there, and then they tried to get him to take that barn sequence out.
Okay.
And
Not the barn sequence.
Yeah, they wanted
Not the
that.
barn.
Yeah, and he really fought for it. I don't know. There was a lot of stuff. It was years ago, but so this guy who made Aquaman, complete opposite, comes out and says, "This is the greatest movie that's ever been made. This is the most fantastical movie that any human being will ever lay eyes on."
Well, okay, this is what he said. This is according to Entertainment Weekly.
Okay.
The team at Warner Brothers and DC are really confident their next big release is going to swim, not sink.
Get it? You see what they did there?
Yeah, I see. See, that's at least clever, right?
Yeah,
right. I mean, it's punny.
It's
punny.
It is.
EW exclusively spoke to the film's producers and the studio's executive brass about Aquaman, which is coming out December 21st. The film starring Game of Thrones star Jason Momoa as the half Atlantean, half human superhero has been shrouded in secrecy and has only publicly released a couple photos so far. But there are hints that a trailer could be coming soon. The movie represents the first superhero film by director James Wan, who's best known for The Conjuring, Fast and the Furious. He did Fast and Furious 7, which is the top-grossing Fast and Furious film.
Conjuring did pretty darn good too, right? The Conjuring.
Yeah. Oh, The Conjuring
for a horror movie. Yeah.
Not even just for a horror movie.
But for a horror movie, it's an astronomical movie in its own. But for a horror movie, it was over the top.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah. We're talking big time.
So two hits, two
yes.
big pieces of credit.
Yes. Right? So basically, DC is saying that James has done an incredible job. The film is taking you to a different place and imagining the underwater world in a way you've never seen before. The underwater stuff has never been executed like this, Jeff Johns said. The visual effects shots coming in are just beautiful. James can switch modes from horror to big, bright, colorful action to really emotional scene. He's able to hit all these different genres.
Now, to be honest, in Justice League, there were a couple of sequences with him in Atlantis, and they didn't look bad.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Like none of this film looks bad. None of the character that we've seen so far has looked bad to suggest that this film is going to be bad.
Right.
In terms at least from a visual.
I said many months ago when we were talking about this. I think they're due for like a genuine hit, like not a marketing hit. Like Wonder Woman is arguably a public relations hit. It's a social. Revolution kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But they're due for just a genuine studio movie superhero hit.
Yeah.
And hopefully this will be
Well, no, I mean, Wonder Woman's... wouldn't that count?
Wonder Woman's like an event. Wonder Woman, and there's a lot wrapped up in it. If Aquaman was a hit, there would be nothing but the merit of the character, the movie itself, the superhero.
Sure.
Because Aquaman's not even like a top tier.
No.
No. So, like a top tier superhero is not one of the first that you think of. He's not one of the ones that's on all the DC paraphernalia.
Right.
So, to get an Aquaman hit, Jason Momoa, who's due a hit, he's due a genuine hit for himself. DC, who's due a genuine hit, just a normal superhero hit that's not a revolution. Like Wonder Woman was revolutionary. It was a woman making a woman superhero movie, in a time of Me Too. Like there's a lot of things wrapped up in it.
There was a convergence. Same thing with Black Panther.
Yeah,
right?
not to take anything away from it. It's an accomplishment. It's a great movie. I enjoyed it. I've seen it multiple times. It's a fantastic film. Same with Black Panther. But if this did something, just Aquaman. This is just Aquaman and just DC.
But, isn't it the funniest thing, too? Because Vinny Chase already made this a huge hit 15 years ago.
Yeah. So, but we never got to see that movie.
No, we got to see the
behind the scenes.
It was a little blackout, so that was the problem.
Yeah.
So here's the other thing, too. There's even more stuff, though. Aquaman director James Wan reveals how he'll show underwater dialogue. How is Aquaman going to solve the underwater dialogue problem? You'll recall that in Justice League, director Zack Snyder had Mira create a giant air pocket so he could have a chat with Arthur Curry. Fans drowned that scene with criticism, noting that Atlanteans don't need air to talk. Wan then teased on Twitter he would handle underwater dialogue differently in his upcoming standalone movie. People are overthinking it. They're just going to talk, he said.
I was going to say, I bet you they're just going to be underwater speaking. And then they're going to do something with the screen or they're going to do something with CGI where everybody's hair is floating, but they're still talking, and there's no air bubbles.
Wan then adds a tad bit of a visual effect as Atlanteans speak, suggesting sound waves, but that's all. It's a rather brilliantly simple and naturalistic-looking solution to a problem that isn't really sort of a problem in the first place.
It really isn't.
But, I guess it actually kind of harkens back to what the initial problem was. What was the initial problem? The initial problem was that you fired a director or you had him step down midway through. You replaced him with another director, and you said, by the way, rewrite it.
Yeah.
We don't really like how this turned out, so we kind of need you to rewrite this.
And then they got on him about his Whedonisms that he added to it.
He added the Russian family? He added the Russian family. The biggest, I think, Whedonism, though, I think that the only Whedonism that all right, no, I did like it because I'm like a 12-year-old boy. Was the boob touching with Flash? But he got lampooned for that. He got why does he have to, like, what is he, 12 years old? And it's like, I thought it was funny, but I'm 12 years old too. So yeah, I mean, it kind of makes sense. I can't help it.
I think the problem, not to even go down this rabbit hole. I think the problem with Justice League is the monster that Marvel is, because Marvel just kind of revolutionized
I know.
the epic superhero film.
I know.
Justice League is a perfectly serviceable superhero film.
Yeah.
Pre-Marvel.
Yeah.
Post-Marvel or running consecutively with Marvel, it's not. It's just a little generic. It's a little too generic.
Let me ask you a question, and I'll throw this out there. It's actually pretty good. It's fun. It's fun for the audience to kind of chime into. If Batman vs Superman comes out in the pre-Marvel days, it would
be phenomenal.
Is it as bad?
It would be phenomenal.
But it's still a bad movie, right? Like,
Well, if the uncut version had come out, where they hadn't cut out half of it to, where most of the motivation was gone, I think also in that movie, if they got rid of that entire murky plot with the Lex Luthor setting up Batman to kill, I just don't think that was necessary. Batman was already teed up to get rid of Superman. I know. So it's
Brian Abraham, it would still suck.
Yeah, well.
But you know what?
No, I don't think so.
I think it would, though. I think it would. All right, we're going to throw that out there for people. If
everybody's going to hive mind it and say yes, it would have still sucked.
Well, we'll see. We're going to throw it out there.
No,
we're going to throw it out there.
I don't trust
if the DC films that have come to date were released before the Marvel movies hit, would they still be panned for the most part? Right? 3 out of 4 panned. So
yes.
Would they be 75% panned?
Yes. Would it be
when
75%?
We come back.
You're listening to the Talking Alternative Network.
You're listening to the Talking Alternative Network. Are you stuck in a rut? Negative thoughts, feelings, and conversations got you down? Hi, I'm Noreen Sumter, the Potentiator. Tune in every Tuesday at 9 to 10 p.m. Eastern Time and listen for new ideas on my show, Beyond Potential, Live Life Your Way, on talkradio.nyc.
Who do you want to connect with?
Are you an entrepreneur or intrapreneur looking to build your following?
Welcome to our show.
Follow Me Friday with Joan
and Priya.
Tune in every Friday at noon Eastern
on talkradio.nyc.
We're your digital connectors. Woo woo!
Talking Alternative Radio, 24 hours a day.
So we got Spider-Man Homecoming.
It's a big deal now, isn't it? Spider-Man.
Opening weekend doesn't count. Let's see what the drop-off is from week to week.
Fair. Part of what I said was right, though.
I will acknowledge that. I didn't disagree with that. I didn't disagree that everyone would be...
You disagreed with pretty much everything I said last week.
But that's what makes a good show.
Secrets of the Sire.
Welcome back to Secrets of the Sire. You can sort of see the new space if you catch us on Facebook.com/Secrets of the Sire. And we'll work things out in terms of where we position everything. But so far, so good. We like it. It's nice and spacious. I like the Like the acoustics in the place were
I don't like
pretty
it.
good.
I don't like anything.
That's not a surprise.
I don't even like
though.
water. You know,
That's not a surprise.
Like, I hated chocolate milk when I was a kid.
So we threw up a great question right before we went to break.
Was it a great question?
I think it's a great question, though, right?
Okay.
Because I think the prism of Marvel has made us judge all these DC movies. So going,
I don't know the prism of Marvel. It's the prism of Marvel's execution, and the trick about Marvel's execution was treat the movies like a TV show.
Right.
And everybody else is still in this genre, in the milieu of superhero films, right?
Yeah.
They're still treating them all like movies.
Yeah.
Like, well, okay, we have to sacrifice story, we have to sacrifice backstory, we have to sacrifice information because we only have a finite amount of time, and this is going to come out at Christmas, and it's got to hit the Christmas market, and it's got to be like third quarter, and it's got to make us all a lot of money. So this is what. And Marvel's like, well, we're just going to tell part of the story in this movie, and then the other part in this next movie, and people are going to wait 6 months to a year to 3 years to hear the story. I mean, the story of Ragnarok. The story of Thor. This was stretched out over 5 movies. You know?
Yeah.
So it's once you finally get to Ragnarok, when a lot of people like criticize it, oh, Ragnarok's just is a joke. You already know so much about Thor, so much about Loki, so much about the struggle, so much about Odin. So that all they have to do really is introduce Hela.
Right.
All they have to do is introduce her.
Yeah.
And set it in motion. That's a television show.
Right.
Marvel, DC, the DCEU.
But again, Marvel created this format that's like that DC tried to ape essentially.
Of course,
as soon
but
as
they
it
didn't.
happened.
They didn't do the groundwork.
If Marvel Studios had never existed, would these films be as universally panned? I don't think Man of Steel would be as universly panned. I think Man of Steel might have been.
Well, Man of Steel had a chance, and it was well received up until the point where there was that utter character negation of Superman snapping someone's neck, which is like
that's true.
Well, come on, dude. Yeah, and it's
Zack Snyder can't help but kill people, right?
No.
Like Batman's like a machine gun.
No, he's like Abrams. He's like, kill Han. Done.
Yeah.
That's my emotional beat. Done. Succeeded.
Yeah.
Succeeded. And
he was filming like Watchmen version of Superman.
And the Watchmen was great, but the Watchmen had source material. It wasn't.
Yeah.
It didn't come from him from scratch. I thought the Watchmen was great. Like in subsequent years, I've found not everybody shares that attitude about the Watchmen.
Right.
But I thought the Watchmen was wonderful when I first saw it.
I thought it was a very faithful adaptation, and I applaud him. I applauded Zack Snyder for trying.
Why not? And even how they kind of glazed over the squid, the alien invasion.
Yeah.
The way they did it was very in story, very in canon, which is wonderful. And Dr. Manhattan wanted to leave anyway.
So let's see what some users thought here. And basically, we just threw the question out there: would the DC movies that we've seen be as universally panned if Marvel hadn't come along and kind of didn't, set the standard? Brian Everham, who we love commenting, Blade would still be far superior to Batman vs Superman. The original Superman and Superman 2 are better than BVS. I don't disagree with that. But again, would people have come out and said, Batman vs Superman is the worst movie we've seen since Batman and Robin, which I think a lot of people were thinking from DC point of view. Justice League, obviously. Like, think of the chain of events that had to happen for Justice League to be what it was, right?
Yeah.
You had to... Man of Steel comes out. Zack Snyder's like, I'm going to take a different approach, which, like it or not, it was a different approach, right? Yeah. And everyone's like, nah, you should be like Marvel. So then Batman vs Superman comes around, and he's like, I got this great idea. We're gonna do Dark Knight Returns, which is awesome, and it's gonna be great, and we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it as a movie. And they're like, and set up the rest of our franchise for us, like in this movie while you're at it, because that would really help us.
Yeah, but
And then he's like, but why? And he's like, because Marvel's really doing it well, and Man of Steel, you tried it and it didn't quite work, so do it here.
Man of Steel wasn't.
And then he does it, and then they're like, okay. I know what we told you to do, but what you did, it just didn't quite work for us.
What you did, you didn't quite do.
You didn't quite do. So if you could just not be on the next movie.
If you could just do everything we think and anticipate everything that we're thinking without us actually having to tell you, that'd be great.
And then in between that, you have this cultural phenomenon that is Wonder Woman. Good movie. Very good movie. Not great, but very solid movie. And DC's like, oh, See, you just need to just do what they're doing now. And then by the time Justice League comes out, we're like,
well, the thing is, okay, but you need to double down somewhere. If you're going to do an adaptation of The Dark Knight, you need to do an adaptation of The Dark Knight. And he didn't, you know? If you're going to do a full-on superhero anthology, which is, you know, one different superhero gets focused on per movie.
Right.
You know, Superman, Batman, even though Superman is in it, Wonder Woman, you know that's setting up the Justice League.
Sure.
Then you need to do that.
Right.
But didn't really even do that because now they wanted to trim like 40 minutes out of it, and they wanted to lighten the tone and change the tone around and make it more convoluted. It was ridiculous. Just tell a story. I know that sounds stupid. I mean, I get it because
but you know, we live in a world of so much content now that the people who are making the content are aware that they're making the content, and their characters are now aware that they are part of the content. Mm-hmm. I mean, even the one scene in Infinity War, the only scene in Infinity War that I kind of would have, the one line in Infinity War I would have changed is when Tony Stark says to Spider-Man, "If you make one more pop culture reference," and I'm sitting there going, only someone who knows pop culture would say pop culture reference. You know, like only someone who works at a Comic-Con would say, or a marketing agency, you're Tony Stark, you're in a lab, you're not going to say pop culture reference, but the writers say pop culture reference. That's the term that it is now. They're self-aware that they're in pop culture, and that's the one part I was like, you know, look, it doesn't downgrade my grade from an A to an A-. If you checked out our show last week, we gave our 2018 grades for the season so far. So go check that out on iTunes, iHeartRadio, SoundCloud, Facebook. Go ahead. But it did actually, you know, it was one of those moments where I'm like, stop being so meta. Last Jedi was an entire meta movie, right?
Yeah,
there was no story. So what you said is not crazy.
Yeah.
It's people who need to realize that. Like I'm writing, you know, so the new book that I have out, The Mainstream, and it is a shameless self-plug. Yeah. At Zenoscope. Issue 2 coming out right now. Ooh, it's great. It's a great book. Go get it. All right, I'm going to show the commercial. There it is. Okay. But, so the story sessions that my co-creator, Talon Caldwell, and I have, right? The sessions are, you know, whenever we go through dialogue, he always reminds me, he's like, okay, but we know this is happening. Would they know this is happening? How would they know this is happening? How would they make this assumption? And it's a great question, and we're always stopping to ask that question.
Right.
So that at no point, or we hope, as we're reading the series, we're like, oh, we're metaizing the script. Like we're trying to put it in. If this really happened, how would these people react and what would they say? So I don't think what you're saying is crazy. I don't at all.
Oh, good.
Let's go some more comments real quick. Jim Morris chimed in. Everyone forgets Batman in the original carried a gun, and I said not a machine gun.
Yes. or rail guns on his Batmobile.
Yeah.
But even Tim Burton's Batman had like 50 caliber machine guns on his.
Yeah,
Batmobile.
I don't think it was the fact that he had the gun and that he was using it. It's how he was using it. It was like the blatant disregard.
There's always a fast and loose kind of situation, especially with Batman, especially with that no kill rule, because. I mean, even Nolan's Batman, he was riding through the streets on the Batpod blowing up cars. You don't know if anyone's asleep in those cars. Like, you can't... And that's destruction of property, Mr. Wayne.
Right.
You know? So, like, you know, you're the hero. You can't go around just doing collateral damage like that. But, you know, it's fast and loose. It's, you know, we assume that he knew that there was no one in those cars with it.
No. I'm with you on that.
I mean, okay. So, look... The problem in general, especially with Superman, is character negation. I saw a great video, I think from Wisecrack, that said we're in the post-hero age.
Yeah.
Right. So there was a post-Western because there was a glut of westerns, and then we got Unforgiven, we got Western movies that kind of deconstruct the Western myth.
Sure.
And those were called post-westerns, right? Where like, all right, it's not about heroism, and every piece of damage has a cost, and you know, all the violence has consequences. It's not like Pale Rider where Clint Eastwood just empties his guns into people and then they give him soup, you know?
Yeah.
So, we're doing the same thing with our heroes, especially like characters like Logan.
Sure.
You know, the movie Logan. Superman to an extent where you're trying to deconstruct him. He also the vlog also mentioned Luke Skywalker from The Last Jedi.
Sure.
Even though it wasn't, I don't feel that it was executed properly. So you got these characters who just I don't want to be a hero anymore, and they get drawn back to it, they get dragged back to it. But I'm not the hero anymore. Superman had attempted to like kind of subvert all that by making him kind of taking that truth and justice thing away from him, and that that cleft chin atmosphere, and making him like more of a sympathetic character since he's invulnerable.
Right.
At least you have his pathology that you have to deal with.
Sure.
The problem is that he just went around snapping people's necks, and he didn't save anybody from falling buildings and stuff. And people are like, "Well, what am I watching?"
And let's not
him
forget,
for?
It was a little dark blue.
Dark blue. Yes, it was.
We kind of got off on a little tangent. I want to squeeze this in before we get to commercial here too, because we are looking ahead to 2018. I love the discussion. I love what we're getting to, and we're gonna circle back to that too. But we have a guest coming up next. Can you give me your 2018 films in 5 words or less? Now, again, last week we did what had come before. Now we're looking to what comes after. And the 3 films on the docket we have are Ant-Man and Wasp, Venom, and the aforementioned Aquaman. So if we're going to go through those 3 films, Ant-Man and Wasp in 5, this is predictions for what it's going to be like in 5 words or less.
Does well no matter what.
Does well no matter what. Oh, ding, bing, 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 bing. You get that's 5. That's 5. That's big. That's big. I was gonna say, where the heck is Thanos?
It's pre-Thanos, though.
I know, but it's the other thing I wrote. Another thing was, well done picking release date.
We'll see.
We'll
see.
We talked about some previous.
It's
going
to have to deal a little bit with the Jurassic Park, but not really.
I know. It's going to own.
It's going to own July.
Owning everything. Like if Deadpool 2 had not punched up their release date, I think this whole summer season is different.
I'm a little worried about Jurassic Park because I'm seeing it's a glut of advertising. Whenever they do that.
But Jurassic Park only works as a standalone film once, and then it works coming back one more time, like after 20 years, because.
Not really.
At some point you gotta. Okay, why are we on the island?
They're doing something slightly different. Not to get off this tangent, they're doing something slightly different from the last one. They're keeping the same protagonists.
Yes.
The last one they kept swapping people out, so it was like Ian in the first 2, and then what's his name, Sam Neill in the third one. And by then people were like, But I mean, if they had kept the 3 of them, they would have been. A focal point, a hero focal point that just had incredibly bad luck running into islands full of dinosaurs.
If you're checking us out on the Facebook feed right now, we got a lot of Legion folks on, which is excellent, and we'll tell you all about Legion M with its co-founder, Jeff Annison, when we return.
You're listening to the Talking Alternative Network.
Are you into comics, movies, and pop culture at large? What about music and TV? Then you're in for a treat. This is Michael Dolce, your host on TalkingAlternative.com. I've been professionally writing comic books, screenplays, and music articles for almost 15 years. Catch my show, Secrets of the Sire, at its new primetime slot, Wednesdays, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, and get the inside scoop on the pop culture universe you love to talk about. For more info, go to secretsofthesire.com.
Are you feeling unhappy with your body, shape, or size? Ever feel out of control with food? I'm Elizabeth Tripp, your host of Nourish the Soul. Join me to uncover the root to these imbalances and discover a permanent solution to living a healthy life. Join us every Wednesday at my new time, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on talkradio.nyc.
Talking Alternative Radio, 24 hours a day.
I
go to the same movie theater. It's in the middle of the city.
Yeah, that's New York City, where we broadcast from.
Oh, yes. Okay. Apologies.
We're city snobs, though. I mean, that's
we are. New York is the city.
Right.
So everybody else
is no other.
Everybody, Salt Lake, you guys can go to hell. Okay.
Secrets of the Sire.
Welcome back to Secrets of the Sire. We do this every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, talkradio.nyc, and streaming live on facebook.com/Secrets of the Sire. I want to thank all the folks who have joined us tonight. There's a lot of Legion folks on there, and I'm really excited to welcome our next guest. His name is Mr. Jeff Addison. He is the founder of the first ever fan-owned entertainment company ever, Legion M. Jeff, are you there?
I'm here, Michael. Thanks so much for having me on the show.
Well, thank you for joining us. So, it's funny, before we were in contact with your folks, I've seen your ads out there. I've seen what you were doing, but it was one of those things where I'm like, well, it's just a crowdfunding thing, right? It's just a crowdfunding kind of thing. But the more you get into it, you guys are just doing something completely different than what's out there.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think a lot of people hear the word crowdfunding and they immediately think they know what we're talking about. But the fact is, what we're doing is equity crowdfunding, which is something entirely new and wasn't even possible up until about a year or two ago.
Yeah, it's funny. You talk about the Jobs Act a lot, and I'm like, wow, that was the thing that really impressed me when I started to read more on your website. I'm like, okay, so this is not just some guy living in his basement who, is like, if we get all the fans together, I don't have to pay for anything. This is great.
No, this is really revolutionary. So what the Jobs Act is, for those that aren't familiar, is it enabled this thing called equity crowdfunding, which is it's like Kickstarter in that it's a bunch of individuals, small or investors coming together to invest in our company. But unlike Kickstarter, it's not the sort of thing where you back a project in exchange for a T-shirt and a pre-sale of the product. You are actually investing to own equity in the company, which means that if the company is successful, then you as an investor can make money. And it's the sort of thing that was not possible at all before the Jobs Act. And, if a lot of people don't realize this, but prior to the Jobs Act, even if you were like next door neighbors with Mark Zuckerberg and, he's working in his dorm room and he's got this idea,
sure.
For a new product. And, he talks to you and you're like, oh, wow, this sounds really cool. He's looking to raise some money. He needs to buy some servers or something like that. Mm-hmm. And you're like, hey, I've got $5,000 or, $500 or something like that. Like, I'd like to invest in this and get in on the ground floor of the next big thing. Prior to the Jobs Act, you were not able to. The only people that were legally allowed to invest in startup companies were what the SEC defines as accredited investors, which is effectively the wealthiest 2 or 3% of the population. And, there's a whole set of laws, and, you go, and I know way too much about securities law now, but, these are laws.
You're entering prequel level talk here.
Prevented basically small-time investors from having, getting the opportunity to get in on deals like this. And the Jobs Act came along. It brought the SEC into the 20th century. And we think it creates a fundamentally different way to build a company. The whole idea behind Legion M is that if you've got a legion of investors, a large audiences of fans that is literally invested in the company, that when we produce movies and TV shows, we've got a fundamental competitive advantage against everybody else that's out there because we've got a built-in audience that we know is going to show up to support the film.
So one of the other things, and the last thing, and then I want to get into the actual projects you guys are working on, but the other thing that really impressed me was, this is a crowd-funded operation. That does not mean the crowd makes the content. You guys are really like looking for legit, content creators. You're looking for legit content. Talk to us about that. Was that a little scary too? Because the whole idea of crowdfunding in a way is and it's a model that seems to be working in a way for people to just make money, is to, okay, well, everyone can just, kind of put their own content in here. But you guys are specifically just looking for people to invest in a way.
Yeah, well, correct. In that, we a lot of people again assume that, okay, oh, hey, we're going to do fan films, or we're going to do little micro budget films or something like that, and that's completely not, again, our model. Legion M is not about fans uniting to create content.
Sure.
It's about fans uniting to effectively fund content and to benefit from the success of that content. So if you think about it, I mean, entertainment is a global, like, multi-trillion-dollar industry. And right now, most of us are fans. We're just consumers. So we're just the people. It's our eyeballs and our wallets that literally fuel the entire thing. But if we band together, we have enormous power. And so the best way that I like to think about Legion M, it's like everybody at Comic-Con pulled their money and said, hey, let's go make a movie studio.
Yeah.
And, it's not about like, hey, we're going to create fan films. This is about us investing in large projects. We've got an Anne Hathaway project, a Nicolas Cage, Dean Devlin, David Tennant. Like, these are real legit things. And the difference is that rather than being backed by either a wealthy oil tycoon or a Wall Street, a Wall Street conglomerate, it's a bunch of fans who have effectively pooled their money to make this project happen.
So, I mean, that's the other thing too. Do the fans somehow have a say in the content itself, though, or is that window kind of like, you're kind of trusted with the what do you call the baton to fund it in the right ways?
Yeah, I mean, the Legion is the center of like everything that we do, and there's a lot of reasons for that. I mean, part of it is, as the shareholders, as the owners of the company, like my job as management is to make the owners of the company happy. And if we go off and fund a bunch of stuff that all of the people in the Legion hate, the company's not going to last very long, frankly, because our whole success is built on the fact that, you guys are engaged and you want to come see it. So there's kind of like a built-in mechanism there. But the other thing about it is that, the power of a large group of fans is like, this isn't just like a new way to raise money to fund content. It's a fundamentally new way to build a business.
Yeah.
Because we have a legion of people. We've got a legion of scouts that can help us, find and identify new and emerging IPs. And, what are these next great projects? We've got, right now, one of our biggest challenges as a company is that we don't have enough hands to accept all of the help. And there's a lot of really talented people in the Legion, across every, skill set and industry. And because this is their company, they are intrinsically motivated to help see it succeed. And so for us, the success of Legion M, like the single biggest superpower of Legion M, is the fact that we're owned by this large audience of people. So we're constantly trying to find ways to, use the wisdom of the crowd to help us make decisions and figure out ways that we can leverage all the insight that people have. That said, we also, like, our motto is, you don't make great art by committee. And so it's not the sort of thing
That's
that,
very true.
where we, it's a giant democracy and everybody votes on every little thing and we're going to vote on plot lines and that sort of stuff. Our goal is to find creators, back them, and get out of their way.
I want a kitchen with a sink and a refrigerator so I can put my sandwiches there.
Exactly.
Shameless plug time. Talk to us about the actual projects you have going. You mentioned Anne Hathaway. You mentioned Kevin Smith. You mentioned Nicolas Cage. Give a quick 30-second elevator pitch for some of these projects.
Oh my gosh! Well, there's too many to do in 30 seconds. We did a Colossal, which was Anne Hathaway, Jason Sudeikis. That was a feature film that came out last year. We did a virtual reality pilot with Kevin Smith and Stan Lee. That is absolutely fantastic. I could talk to you about that if you're interested in VR. We did Bad Samaritan, which came out about a month ago. That was David Tennant starred. It was produced and directed and distributed by Dean Devlin, who was the creator of Stargate and Independence Day and Leverage and The Librarian. Our next movie that'll probably be in theaters is Mandy, which is a Nicolas Cage movie that is a totally gonzo, dark, twisted masterpiece that was literally the best reviewed movie at Sundance Film Festival this year, and just had a 4-minute standing ovation at Cannes in France. So those are kind of the big ones that have either been out or are kind of in process. We've got a whole slate of television shows and earlier stage stuff as well that you can see. But those are kind of the big ones.
All right, very cool. So what we're doing tonight, and we're gonna include you in on the fun here. We are doing predictions for the rest of 2018 superhero movies in 5 words or less. So we will give you what we did for Ant-Man and Wasp, and then I want you to come up with in 5 words or less your predictions for each of these movies. The 3 movies that we have left remaining are Ant-Man and Wasp, Venom, and Aquaman. And for Ant-Man and Wasp, I said, where the heck is Thanos? And Hassan, what was yours?
Good no matter what.
Good no matter... Good no matter what. 5 words or less, Ant-Man and Wasp, your predictions.
Oh my gosh! You really put me on the spot here.
Exactly.
You didn't give me any time to prepare.
Exactly. It's the best. It's the best response.
I'm going to go with it's Marvel, so all good.
Okay, we like it. We'll take it. Yeah. All right. Venom is the next movie. Hassan, you want to go first, or should I go first?
No reason for this movie.
No reason for this movie. That's 5 words. Bing, 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 bing. If you can get 5, I give you a little bing, bing, bing. That's all you get if you get 5. I said the Joey of superhero movies. It's the Joey of superhero movies. Well, because we're Spider-Man. We
you kind of give it. That's a little meta.
It's very meta.
You got to give it a little context. You're talking Joey from Friends.
I'm talking Joey from Friends.
Okay.
And he was an amazing supporting character.
Yes,
there's
until
no
they gave him
need,
his own show.
Yeah, there's no need to pull him out and give him his own movie. No need. Venom, Jeff, what do you got?
Oh my gosh, I didn't. I have to admit, I'm not very familiar with the Venom storyline. So I don't know if I can.
There is none.
I've got one for Justice League, but for Venom, I got nothing.
I got nothing. That's 3. Okay. Wait, for Venom, I got nothing. That's 5. Bing,
there
bing,
we
bing,
go.
bing.
5. Bing, bing, bing.
All right, the final one is Aquaman. I will go first on this. I actually have 5 different ones.
Oh boy.
Can't be worse than BVS. Can't be worse than JL. Can't be worse than Man of Steel. Can't be worse than Snyder. And I said, maybe better than Wonder Woman? Question mark?
Wow. Okay.
Hassan, what do you think?
Has a chance to work.
Has a chance to work. Bing, bing, bing. Look at us. Look at us go. Now, to be fair, I wrote the questions, so I prepared for these questions. So I have answers. Jeff, finish us off here. Aquaman predictions, 5 words or less.
I'm saying this in my best DC voice, and I'm saying, God, I hope it works.
That works. That's fine.
That was it. I thought he was going to do it in a DC voice. I was waiting for the Christian Bale Batman voice. Actually,
Superman. God, I hope it works.
Real quick before we let you go, tell fans where they can get involved, where they can find you guys online, and all that fun stuff.
You can join for free anytime and become a part of the Legion. We're not always raising money. We happen to be raising money right now, but you can go to legionm.com. You can join as a free member to become a part of the community and see what it's all about. And if you decide that you want to someday invest in the company, for as little as $100, you can become a part owner of the world's first fan-owned entertainment company.
Very, very cool. Jeff, thank you so much. Again, go check out Legion M. When we come back,
we tell you,
we'll go spinning the racks.
You're listening to the Talking Alternative Network.
Are you a conscious co-creator? Are you on a quest to raise your vibration and your consciousness? I'm Sam Leibowitz, your conscious consultant. And on my show, The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, we will touch upon all these topics and more. Listen live at our new time on Thursdays at 12 noon Eastern Time. That's The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, Thursdays, 12 noon on talkradio.nyc.
Are you feeling unhappy with your body, shape, or size? Ever feel out of control with food? I'm Elizabeth Tripp, your host of Nourish the Soul. Join me to uncover the root to these imbalances and discover a permanent solution to living a healthy life. Join us every Wednesday at my new time, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on talkradio.nyc.
TalkingAlternative.com.
Can a man actually get up with any kind of macho manliness and say Twilight was a good film franchise and or movie? That's like the guy wearing the pink shirt, right? Like he feels completely confident.
But men can rock the pink.
Wait!
Sam the engineer is wearing pink right now.
I just pulled a Hassan.
Secrets of the Sire.
Welcome back to Secrets of the Sire. We do this every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, talkradio.nyc. We talk comics, movies, TV, and pop culture. I want to thank our guest, Mr. Jeff Addison, who is awesome from Legion M. Go to legionm.com. Go check out all their cool stuff. It's a really cool idea. I actually saw ads for it before we even, like I said, was in contact with him. So he did a nice job of explaining it to me, and I hope everyone else out there as well, too. Really cool stuff we were doing to, predict the future of comic book movies in 2018 in 5 words or less. And John Biscardi chimed in, Aquaman, not gonna go see it. Not gonna go see it. Bing! That's 5. Very well done. Very well done. Keep chiming in there.
I like that you have to keep
Dennis
counting.
Dickens, he's great. DC, not so much. That's 6.
Oh.
That's 6. I don't know if he was trying, actually. I think he might have just been commenting, but I'm going to use it anyway. So we'll go 6.
And then he used it. Now he used it as a failure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shao Lopez, my wife loves Aquaman. 5. Bing! That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. I like that. I like that.
Okay. Well, we'll do it. We'll give it.
Yeah.
We'll split Aquaman.
Terry Pignon. I hope I pronounced it. I'm going to butcher names. For anybody who's new to this show,
Always does.
jumping on, I'm
He
going to
always
butcher
does.
everyone's name.
Don't take it personally.
Hopefully better than Venom. That's 4. It's hopefully better than Venom.
Yeah,
So I'll support that.
What? You helped him. It's cheating.
It's a her, and yes.
You helped
I
her.
did. Yes, I did.
You helped her.
Yes, I did. See?
That was chivalry.
We do this every week. We go spinning the racks to bring you the most fantastical pop culture news available.
Fantastical's not a word. New place, new studio. We should change that.
I'm going to give it a dance beat. I'll do it. I'm going to give it a dance beat. It's going to be awesome.
Okay.
Green light for AT&T deals sets up Comcast's Fox bid. Merger frenzy. Big ticket acquisitions could trigger a round of deal making by smaller players trying to keep up with the Titans. I'm not going to go into huge detail here. We're not going to get into prequel level like you had mentioned over dinner. Prequel level
You have to
talk
keep saying
here.
that.
I think it's a really good line, so I'm stealing it, and eventually I'm usurping it and owning it.
Yes, and then you're going to use it against prequel fans.
What does all this stuff means? If you heard about the AT&T merger with Time Warner, you're sitting there going like, okay, I don't read the Wall Street Journal. I like comics and comic book movies. Why do I care? Well, you care because now the ruling has now opened the door for Comcast to come in and basically steal Fox from Disney. That merger we kept talking about that wasn't quite a done deal is not a done deal.
Right.
And what that means for us is that all those dreams of
not happening.
a Fantastic Four living in the Fantastic Four world.
Nope.
Logan.
All Kevin Feige's dreams of having tier, like phase 6, 7, 8, whatever. He could have just kept it going indefinitely.
My dream of seeing X-Men comics be good again, like gone, like it's gone.
Not necessarily.
Actually, I take that back. Cullen Bunn is doing an amazing job on X-Men Blue. Go read that book. It's actually
X-Men Blue,
pretty amazing.
we're talking about like the movies.
No, I know, but
they're
I'm just
not
saying.
doing an amazing job on the Dark Phoenix.
No,
it's not happening.
Yeah, no,
that's not what's happening with the X-Men movies.
Your line, if for any X-Files fans out there, my favorite episode of X-Files is Jose Chung's From Outer Space. If you're true X-Files fans, you know exactly what that means. And there's this line in the movie where the guy's getting abducted by aliens, and he's hovering in the middle of like a crate, and there's lights flashing. He's like, "This is not happening. This is not happening. This is not happening." That's what you just reminded me of, describing Dark Phoenix.
It's true.
You just described Dark Phoenix.
Not only that, not only the last two movies have not been that stellar, but they're already clickbaited. They're already monetized the hate against it. It's already clickbait fodder. So that means even if it is good, it doesn't have a chance because the hive mind's already against it, which is basically what happens these days.
Yeah, but I mean,
you get bad buzz, and then it's like, oh man,
but that's
what?
That's been true for years, though. It
there was
rises to the top quicker now.
There was a trailer very quickly.
Yeah,
there was a trailer of Jurassic Park, Jurassic World, with the Tyrannosaurus Rex.
Sure.
And the Tyrannosaurus Rex was roaring, and then it said like Rotten Tomatoes 71%. And then it was like, oh, it's already got 71% of Rotten Tomatoes, which basically in the comments went either way.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? Who cares about Rotten Tomatoes?
Right.
And they're making it all relevant. The hive mind is already, the gatekeepers are already there. The gatekeepers are us, unfortunately, and there's no stopping us because we're not a monolith.
Right.
And so it's done. That's how movies are going to be from now on. Do you want to see this? No. Well, we made it anyway. Well, we're not going to see it, and it's a failure and it's a flop. So now studios are going to kowtow to us as much as possible. Everything's going to go down the tubes. We're screwed.
Give me the odds that Fox Disney actually happens. Like, what are the odds?
I think the odds are below 50%.
You think below 50% now? You really do?
At this point, unless this is a double blind, so when Disney swoops in and buys Fox, everyone's happy.
Sure. Like
they're threatening Comcast and they're saying, "Well, you're not going to get X-Men now. And you're not going to get any good stuff, any good movies anymore from Fox." And then suddenly Disney comes in, we bought it, and it doesn't. Now all of a sudden, it's not a monopoly.
Yeah.
It's whoa! They just got rescued by Disney. Now we're going to get X-Men.
What are the odds that Comcast reaches a Sony-like deal? Like, wouldn't that make the most sense? Like, if Hollywood
lease out X-Men to
if Hollywood is a breed of copycats, right? If Hollywood essentially it's like high school. It's like when the pretty girl wears something, all the rest of the girls have to like start wearing what they're wearing, or if the cool dude comes in with a certain whatever, like all the people kind of fall into place. I mean, we have a proven record here. DC is a case study, is a success story for what not to do when trying to take on Marvel. The X-Men universe is actually a quasi in the middle, right? Like, it was successful in terms of it made money.
Well, it was successful because it was first. It was technically
first.
But
even like First Class made money and Days of Future Past made money. Like, these films
made
money.
That's all still Days of Future. I mean, Days of Future Past isn't, but First Class, all those movies, those were pre-Marvel. Days of Future Past wasn't. And
First Class, what, 2008? It had to be. No, see, First Class came out. First Class.
Yeah, but I mean, that's pre-Marvel. That's pre-Avengers. It was pre-Avengers.
We'll have to look that up.
I think it was.
All right. I don't think it was. I think it was 2013. I think it was right around there. Well, let's do the backwards counting. Apocalypse was 2016, 2013, 2010. Right? It's 3 years. Every 3 years there's a movie. So I think it's 16, 13, 10. So First Class, I would guess, would be 2009 or 2010, which is pre-Avengers.
That's pre-Avengers.
It is definitely pre-Avengers.
And right. Avengers is the catalyst for the current Marvel monster.
But that's the whole thing. Like, we have these blueprints. It's like Sony couldn't get Spider-Man right, and then they finally just conceded, and they're like, let's just lease them out.
They lease out a character. That character is fine. You're going to lease out an entire franchise. That's a different monster.
But a character is a franchise. Spider-Man is a franchise. And
right, but they didn't get Venom. You see, like how Marvel can't. They didn't buy the whole package.
Sure.
So, like, if you want X-Men, you're going to have to buy the whole package because you got to buy all the X-Men and you got to buy all the X-Men villains.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
That's cost prohibitive, probably.
Alicia Davis chimed in. They start to put trailers and stuff out way too early these days. Thoughts?
Nah.
One
of the complaints about Solo is that their trailers didn't come out until a couple of months before
Isn't
the
it
movie
amazing,
came out.
though? Isn't it amazing? Like, we because I actually kind of agree with Alicia. I'm also in the camp of, like, they give too much away in the trailers. But now I'm so desensitized to it that I don't even, like, it doesn't even faze me now. It doesn't even faze me now when a movie comes out, like a movie trailer comes out like 9 months in advance and shows you, like, the climactic
The end of the movie.
ending of the movie. Now I'm like, all right, that makes sense.
Oh, he gets eaten by a monster.
Yeah.
All right.
You're like, how about that? How about that? And it still
I guess I'll go see it.
Yeah, it still does.
I don't know why, but I'll go see it.
All right, we want to thank our guest, Mr. Jeff Anison, who was awesome. Really gave us some great insight into everything. I want to thank all of our new fans. Hopefully, maybe they'll join us every Wednesday night. If you love a place to geek out, come do it here. And next week we're going to continue to geek out. It's crossover time. We're going to be welcoming the O Sith podcast on the show for a retro review of one of your favorite Marvel franchises. The Governor's House is coming up next.
You're listening to the Talking Alternative Network.